Okay, we are recording. So basically, we can just
start talking
whenever.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was okay. So
I mean, you've done a podcast before, right?
no, I haven't.
You
I
know
haven't. So the deal is, I listen to a podcast, and I usually listen to it on the way to work, and I kind of got an idea of how the podcast works. I listen to a podcast. He does this professionally, right? So this is his job.
Right.
So he'll be inviting guests on, and they'll have a conversation about a specific topic, and it's very professional. Not saying that this isn't. I'm just saying that.
No. Go ahead.
No. Finish that thought. I want to hear what you said. But I was looking at that, and I was looking at how you do your podcast. It's very similar, but at the same time, it's different, obviously, because you don't have a specific topic. Like 5 minutes ago, I was asking you, like, what do you want me to talk about? Is there anything specific? And you said, no, it's just a normal conversation. So that's different in the fact that he would try to keep you on topic with what they're talking about. And you could stray off, but stay on topic most of the time. It would be 2 to 3 hours like we're doing now, but it's different in how, like, you just talk about whatever comes to mind, and I think that's interesting because this is the first time for me, so I want to see how it works out.
Yeah, see, basically, I think people out there actually give a shit what I think about.
Okay, all right, yeah, it's different. It's different,
But anyways, welcome to the Lion on Main podcast. I'm here with my friend. Introduce yourself.
My name is Luke Gulde. I've known since we were in middle school, and this is the first time he's asked me to come onto his podcast, and I think it's gonna be cool. We're gonna find out what we're gonna talk about.
You're the first guest.
How it is. Yeah, I am the first guest. There we go. Woo.
Almost anyway, wasn't though.
Almost. I beat Haley by a little bit, but she'll get her own. You'll get your own episode, Haley. All right. So just
Luckily,
sit there and
canceled.
wait. She did. So I'm the first. So this is the beginning and a long line of guest stars on Lion on Main.
Hopefully.
So this will blow up, and we'll be the number one in the charts or whatever. However, the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even I don't know.
Bro, you run it. You should know. Anyway,
there's charts of something.
We're gonna be the top of it. Anyway, so I wanted to. I mean, I guess it's a good opportunity as ever. I wanted to catch up on what you're doing. You said you were into film in school, and I just want to know how classes are going and everything. I don't.
All right. Well, obviously, I don't know if you listened, but I talked about many of my short films. Well, my 2 short films on the podcast, just to make sure we're good. I'm new to all this, okay? So I'm really worried everything is gonna die and I'm gonna lose everything. But so I actually have an update on my second short film. So
this is the Crane's Roost film you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So if you've been following for a while, you know that we tried recording like 2 weeks ago or something like that, and it got canceled. So we were actually finally able to record this past Tuesday, and we went to a park, and we were kind of hoping to just get all the filming done and out of the way just like in one day. So we contacted our actors and we're like, hey, we're gonna meet here and all this stuff. And so they all showed up, and we're in the park, we're shooting all these scenes, and we got like all the park scenes done, and we're like, okay, now we have to do the arcade scenes, because that was like the next step. And we had 2 more locations. It was the arcade, and we also had like this restaurant or whatever that we were going to film in. And so we happened to finish around like 2:30 or something like that. Like 2:50, something like that, and that was perfect because the arcade opened at 3. And so we're like, sweet, we could just drive right over there because it was like right down the street and shoot the film. Now, we had actually called beforehand, and we said, hey, we need to film in your arcade. Is that cool? Like, what's the best time for that? And we mentioned that we were thinking about a Tuesday. And they're like, yeah, Tuesdays is fine, but, we open at 3. And if you come right at 3, that would be perfect because hardly anyone comes at 3. Because it was at a bowling alley, right? It was an arcade in a bowling alley.
They work later in the day.
And so they're like, yeah, who the hell's bowling at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday,
Right. Yeah.
So like we go over there, and we're thinking we got clearance, all this shit, And we pull up, and we're about to walk in with all of our equipment. You know, we have lights, cameras, all this shit. We have like a boom mic and everything, like on a long ass pole and everything.
Yeah.
And we're like, maybe we should stop in first.
This is legit.
Yeah, maybe we should just stop in first, let them know that we're here, and just like don't come in with all this equipment because they may be like, what the fuck is going on,
right.
So we walk in, and of course, my two group mates, they didn't want to talk to the person at the desk. They're like, dude, I'm a little shy,
So you're kind of running this project?
No, actually, I'm not the director.
Oh, okay.
My other group mate, he's the director. I'm just the cameraman. I just work the camera. I just press record and stop.
Okay.
Because
I was gonna say,
I do the scenes.
The editing.
Shots
Okay,
on.
so for me and maybe some of the members of the audience, but what is this film about? Because you just mentioned 3 locations: arcade, a park, and then a restaurant. Correct.
Right.
So what's the idea behind the film?
So basically, the film is about these 2 people, and they're on a date, right? And it's like a day-long date or whatever.
Right.
And at the very beginning, they meet at a park. And at the very beginning, the actress, she tells a joke, and the dude, he smiles, and she notices that there's like something stuck in his teeth. And throughout the entire date, she's like disgusted, and she's not really paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's like thinking stuff in her head, like, how do I tell him he's got this thing in his teeth?
Bro, I hate to break it to you. You got some shit in your mouth. Get it out, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically like at the very end when she finally says it, because they're at the park, they have this whole park thing, and then they go to the arcade, and she like actually enlists the help of like an arcade worker, where she's like, which is where I was gonna make my guest appearance in the film.
Oh, okay. More than a cameraman.
Yeah, and she was gonna be like, yo, how do I tell this guy he's got something in his teeth? And I'm supposed to like say something like I'm supposed to sound super wise or something like that.
Right.
And I say like, oh, like whatever will be, or some shit,
Right, yeah. I'm assuming you don't write it.
No, I did not write it. And so, but she still can't tell him. And then it's like, it's not until they have like the final scene in the restaurant, and he's like, yo, you've been kind of off all day. What's wrong? And then she just blurts out, you got something in your teeth, and I don't know how to tell you. And he gets pissed at her that she let him go the entire day without telling him that he has something in his teeth, and he leaves. And that's supposed to be the end of the film. So, yeah, so I don't even remember where I left off. Right, we're at the arcade.
Yeah, so you're at the arcade coming in with all your stuff.
Yeah, so I go up to the lady working there, and I'm like, hey, we called ahead, asked if we can film here. They said, yeah, Tuesdays at 3 will be good, and we're just here to fulfill that promise,
Right.
And she said, oh, yeah, that'd be great, because I even showed her, like, where we were going, because we had to use a claw machine. And she's like, yeah, just make sure you don't get our logo in any of the shots, and you'll be good. So I was like, sweet. So I tell my group mates, we walk out to the car, we're getting all the stuff, and the actors are waiting at the front door for us to walk up with our stuff. Mm. And as we're walking towards the front door, we see a worker come out and talk to our actors. And then she walks back inside, and our actress basically she goes like this to us. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 2 different messages from people.
Yeah. And she says that apparently the lady checked with management or whatever and found out that management had no idea that this was happening. So the person who gave us permission actually didn't have the authority to give us permission.
Oh, like the manager of the bullet. Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
And so they're like, you can't film here. You have to call ahead and you have to check with corporate or something like that. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And so we turn around because the restaurant we're using was like right there in the parking lot. And my group mate, he's telling me how he's super tight with the people who work there, right? He's like, dude, I know these people. They love me, all this stuff. And so I'm thinking super tight means right when we walk in, they're going to be like, yo, what's up, dude? Haven't seen you in a while. And all this stuff,
I see what you mean, yeah.
So we're walking up, and immediately there's a dude standing outside, and he's giving us this look like he has no fucking clue what's going on, right? And I'm
Your
like...
Your group mate's like, that's the dude I'm tight with.
And I'm looking at my other buddy, and I was like, dude, something's not right. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Right.
He walks up. The guy basically tells us we have to check with corporate for them, too. And so he comes back, and I was like, dude, I thought you were tight with them. And he's like, well, I usually come here at 3 a.m. And I'm like, dude, that's an entirely different shit.
Yeah. I'm usually drunk, hungover. I mean, I don't even know who's working here, honestly.
Yeah.
I just thought we were friends because they let me stick around.
I'm like, dude, that's a whole new set of workers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
these people don't know you. And so we had to go to our backup location, which was at the mall. And we go to the mall. We find some claw machines. And we're setting up, and I was like, dude, let's just get this scene done and over with. Because the whole scene was only supposed to be about like a minute. You know, it's just like a few shots, really short. Not at the arcade for a long time.
I was going to say, so for filming, I don't know how long it takes to record a certain scene, but how long would it take you to record like this scene in particular?
This
if
scene,
it's a minute long, then like,
I mean,
how much prep goes into that?
It depends on like how many takes it takes to shoot everything. Okay. So like our park scene fully edited together, and we had like a montage where they were doing various activities. But the whole park scene took up about like 2 minutes of the film, fully edited together.
Okay.
But I think we recorded about 10 minutes of footage. So there's 8 minutes on like the cutting room floor, and that's just from various takes that we just didn't use and all that stuff. But yeah, so I mean, this was going to be very short, so it was probably going to be maybe 5 minutes to film everything, you know, because also we're on a roll.
It's a minute scene, so it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, and we all knew because our semester was ending soon, you know, and we had such a short time to complete the second short film because we were so behind on the first one. Like a lot of people weren't finished when it was time to turn it in, so we had to push back starting the second film until we had like almost no time at all to do the second film. And so the actors really I've shat on the actors a lot in this podcast.
I'm gonna say, you make it sound like you don't like them a lot, but I don't want to say anything. I don't know how well you know them, or
I mean, I will say they really pulled it together for this film. Like they were definitely a lot better and all that stuff. So props to them. They don't listen, but props to them. If you ever come across us like 10 years in the future and you're like, dude, I worked with this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
How dare he talk on my acting skills when I was a new bred actor.
Yeah. But we're setting up. We're about to start filming at the mall, and the security guard walks by, right?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And he's like, what are you guys doing over here?
Yeah.
And I said, I was like, look, man, we're a group of students at the school, and we just need to film this. And he's like, to check with mall management? And I didn't even know there was a such thing as mall management. This is the first time I've ever heard those words together. And I was like, what is mall management? And he's like, oh, you know, you got to go over here, and it was like a Macy's in this mall, right? And he's like, you have to go to the Macy's, and there's a long hallway. You just go down that. And I was like,
all right.
I was like, can you give me
thanks
a
for those?
better
Thanks for those instructions. I'll walk down the hall. Anything else I should do after that? No, perfect. Thank you.
I was like, bro, you know, I've been in Macy's before. There's a lot of like hallway-like places.
Yeah.
What hallway are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, it's right outside. You can't miss it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck you. I'll just find it myself. So I was gonna go, but my group mate, he's like, no, don't worry, I got this. And I was like, okay, cool. So he leaves, and he's gone. From where we are, I knew it was going to take a while for him to walk there, get permission, and come back. But he was back within like 2 minutes, and I was like, something's off, you know? I said to him, I was like, did you get permission? And he's like, no, I didn't actually go, but I told the security guard that we were cool, and so, you know, he'll leave us alone.
Man, I already know that's not going to end well, because he's probably going to check back with management. They're going to be like, who the fuck are you talking about?
But the thing is, he had a walkie-talkie. So I said to my group mate, I was like, you don't think he's going to check on the walkie-talkie?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, yo, mall management, did you actually give these kids permission?
Yeah. They're going to be like, what fucking kids? What are you talking about?
So I was like, dude, it's just so much easier just to go and ask permission. And I was like, dude, we're students. What are they going to say? No?
Yeah.
You know? And plus, we're in like this back corner, you know? I was like, we're not going to bother anyone. And so I go to mall management. I walk over there. And I find this hallway. I've never been over here before. It was all new to me. I walk into the mall management office. First of all, it looks completely different from the mall. Like, it looks like a house inside. And I was like, this is strange. But I talked to Leah. I was like, hey, student film group, we want to film here, all this stuff. So she's like, all right, I got to get someone. So she finds someone higher up. They come down, and they're like, man, we would love to help you and let you film here, but unfortunately, there's a charge to film here. And I was like, I beg your pardon? And she's like, yeah, you know, you got to call ahead and we got to fill all this paperwork, get insurance, and, you know, you got to pay this charge.
You know, that's what's crazy to me because I've worked at a couple malls setting up certain stores inside the malls, right? And so I realized that each store has its own rules based upon how they want to set up the store, right? So like you can't have certain material in the roof, you can't have certain material on the walls. It's got to be all EMT, all piping, all stuff like that. And I was like, why don't all stores just have the same set of rules, right? Or why wouldn't it be easy for everybody to work in the same mall? But each mall got to have rules according to their corporate across the nation, right?
Right.
So their stores got to have the same setup across everywhere they're set up, right? So the only problem with that is that the mall also has its own set of rules. So that it's like the mall hierarchy, then you got the store hierarchy, and then you got whoever's installing everything inside the store. And so the only issue with that is sometimes those rules clash. Like you were saying, like you tried talking to the mall people, and then they said, well, we can't do that because you got to have insurance, you got to have all this stuff ahead of time. And it's like, well, if we all just if you called ahead and it was like anywhere else you wanted to record in, it'd be a lot easier. Because you could just come in and they'd approve it ahead of time and you wouldn't have to go through all this garbage.
Right.
But it's because I'm realizing malls have their own set of rules. It's real difficult to do anything in the mall unless you work in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find that crazy because I feel like the mall makes it harder on itself to get shout outs from. Not that a mall needs shout outs because it's a mall. It's, you know, you got all this shit inside. But it's difficult for anybody that doesn't work in the mall to come in and be like, hey, I want to do something in the mall, maybe give you guys a shout out, maybe give props to some of the stores in here. They won't allow that because, you know, it's not the mall employee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you were saying.
But yeah, I was like, okay, well, you know, this sucks, you know. And she's like, hey, did the school give you a budget for the film? It's like,
I bet
like,
not.
You think a school gave students money?
Film? Yeah, nah, that's when I started laughing.
And she was telling me about, like, you know, the reason why they have all these rules for filming was because there was like some group of people who came in and filmed something without telling anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And security got pissed at mall management and chewed them out. And I was like, okay, but doesn't security work for mall management?
Right.
Like,
how
are
you
you going to chew out your boss?
You think it would be the same. Exactly, yeah.
And also I was like, how is it mall management's fault that some random group of people came in and just filmed without telling anyone?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, mall management, you guys should have known. It's like,
yeah. You should have known and stopped them. Yeah. Yeah.
Security's the one walking around the mall. You guys should be the ones to pick up on that shit. But yeah.
Not only that, but each mall has its own security CCTV room, which means they have access to all the cameras in the mall. So if security didn't pick up on it, they definitely see your shit on a camera, even if you were in a corner.
Right.
So they would fucking know that shit.
Exactly. And I was just like, you know, whatever. But also I was like, damn, why couldn't we have that luck where like security doesn't come by and notice us?
Yeah,
because like, she didn't say that this was like a student film group that filmed and without telling anyone. So obviously it was some sort of film that became very public, and that's how they found out about it. And I was like, dude, we're only showing this to like our class. Like, why couldn't no one notice and we could just film this scene and get out of here?
Yeah.
No one will know that we ever filmed there. But I was like, whatever. And she's like, oh, but you know, if you want to film, she's like, you know, you can go back to your teacher and see if they'll give you a budget. She didn't even tell me how much the charge was, and I forgot to ask. But I was like thinking, I was like, dude, this is probably really expensive. But she's like, you know, yeah, I could give you my number, and you know, so you can like let me know if you're gonna film here. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was thinking she was gonna give me a business card, right? No, she pulls out her cell phone,
yeah,
and gives me her number, and I was like,
I don't know you that well. I'm gonna be honest.
I was like, hold up,
yeah,
you know, usually you got to buy me dinner first, you know. And so, you know, I got a number, and I said to my group, I was like, dude, I'm not going to film here because I'm not paying no charge. I'm not going to do this insurance crap just to film
a minute scene.
Yeah.
A minute scene, yeah.
And so we're like, you know, we'll just talk to the arcade people, like the bowling alley. We'll just ask management, and like they'll probably say yes, 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. Anyways, we had to cancel the rest of the filming day because by this time it was like 5 o'clock.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to call it because like we had been working since like noon. And so I emailed my teacher. I told him the situation, and he's like, he's like, you know what, just edit what you got and turn that in. And I was like, all right, that's fine with me. So like we have this really shitty 2-minute film.
I was gonna say, so at that point, does the girl even tell the guy that he has something in her teeth, or does
No,
it just end?
We cut out that entire part of the storyline. We had a zoom in of his teeth where we were going to edit something in his teeth.
Yeah.
And we had these things called like brain moments where she has like voiceovers.
Right.
In her head.
Yeah.
And we just cut that entire thing out. And so it's just two people having a fun day at the park for 2 minutes. And also, it low-key worked out because even though we told the actress, we're like, hey, you got to look really disgusted because, like, it's supposed to be funny, right? So it's supposed to be, like, you visibly disgusted and he's just oblivious, right? So we're telling our actress, we're like, dude, you got to look fucking disgusted. Every single shot, she's, like, as happy as she could be. She's smiling and all that shit. And I was like, okay, you know what?
It works.
Yeah, I was like, for what we have to turn in, that works.
Yeah.
Two people having a nice day at the park. And but there is like one shot where she like looks disgusted when he's like, hey, you know, you want to eat something? She's like, I'm not really getting an appetite to eat anything. He's like, oh, well, maybe after the arcade. I'm in the mood for a salad.
The funny thing is I can totally see this happening. He's like, you know, I can see her. She's like, I can't believe I went on a date with this guy. And he's like, oh, my God, look at that rock. That's so cool. He's like not even noticing at all.
Yeah, we edited the film and we turned it in. We got 100, so.
Shit, that's all that matters.
But, you know, like, here I am thinking, I was like, you know, it's not the best short film ever. You know, it's not good by any means. You know, the story is kind of shitty, but, you know, it's kind of funny.
Or anything.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking everyone's is like the same thing, right? So our last day of class, our teacher was showing some films that had already been turned in that were fully filmed and everything. There's people who like turned in really, really good short films. You know, like really good storylines and all that stuff. Like there was this one where this guy was like, it was sort of like a meta thing. They were recording people, right?
Right.
But it was like them conducting an interview, talking to other students and all that stuff. And this guy is like having like this reoccurring dream where like he lives a moment and then he's just like taken back to the very beginning and he starts freaking out and he's like, what is going on? Why do I keep reliving like the same shit over and over and over again?
That's some Sundance shit right there.
Yeah, and like everyone keeps telling them like wake up, you know, and it's like kind of like freaky almost. Yeah. And then finally at the very end he like wakes up in a hospital bed and he got into a car crash and I guess he was in a coma or something like that. And I was like, hold up, somebody in our class came up with that idea?
Yeah, right, yeah, it makes you think because it's like, wow, this is a lot more creative than anything I could think of. And then you turn in your assignment and it's like, well, this is about two people having fun in a park.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean, our entire story was basically a dude has something in his teeth and she doesn't know how to tell him.
Right.
And there's these people that were like, dude, let's have like this meta thing where like they're recording other people and he's like reliving the same day.
How many life ideas can we get into one film in under how long was it, like 5 minutes or something of filming?
Yeah, it was like a 5 or 8 minute film.
5 minutes of filming and they come up with this.
Yeah, it's crazy some of the shit that people can come up with, and I'm just like, you know, like the Blair Witch Project, that's like by UCF film students.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it.
And I was like, what the fuck? You guys came up with that?
Yeah, right. Like they just had to wake up and just like, let's make a horror film, found footage, and it's going to go crazy. And then a lot of people are going to like it. A lot of people are going to hate it, but a lot of people are going to like it as well.
Yeah, I mean, that basically started the found footage genre of films.
Yeah. Now you got, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
well,
you know,
the only one
Chronicle. I think Chronicle started. You know the movie Chronicle. It's about three guys that get superpowers, but it's all taken from this guy's. Yeah, it's all taken from this guy's like camcorder or something, right? And then at the end of the movie, like they're switching from different camera angles. Like he pulls out a bunch of phones with his mind or something, and like it switches from phone angle to phone angle, and so that's how they get their different angles or whatever. I mean, I know you've seen it. I don't have to explain it to you, but I feel like that started. I think that came out before Blair Witch Project, but Blair Witch was more the centralized one person holding the camera, and that's the angle, the idea that you get. The viewpoint you get from the entire movie. It's just that one guy's viewpoint for what is it like? I've actually never seen the movie. It's like 3 people going in the woods or something.
Yeah, it's 3. I never saw it, but I know a lot about it because I've seen clips. And every time I say that I'm into film, everyone's like, "Hey, have you ever seen the Blair Witch Project?"
Right? Yeah, like I feel like that's the first film people that are like, "Oh, you like film, right? Have you seen Blair Witch Project?" It's like, no, we watched different films.
But I do kind of want to see it, but I just haven't gotten around to watching that one yet.
Yeah.
But a found footage movie that I have seen was Apollo 18. You ever see that one?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that one. It's funny you bring that up because I was watching a movie yesterday, and it had a lot to do with Apollo 11 and Apollo 18. It's this new movie that came out. You ever seen Moonfall? You ever heard of Moonfall?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's about it really goes into conspiracy theories about the moon and everything. It's talking about how the moon is just a Dyson sphere. You know what a Dyson sphere is? So it's basically like a bunch of solar panels around a hidden star, and the star runs the solar panels, and it's a giant megastructure. And
All
so
right.
the structure will move through space, and you can travel through, light years and stuff like that. But it had a lot to do with how Apollo 11 or Apollo 18 lost communication with NASA for 2 minutes. And they said that, yeah, that was a mistake. They was actually they went in the theory that it wasn't a mistake, but the people at Apollo 18 cut their feed to the world, and so the world thought that their feed was cut, but NASA never lost that connection. And so it's because they saw stuff on the moon or something like that. But yeah, I've heard a lot about Apollo 18, but that's the movie about how they find an alien or something on the moon.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It was really, really weird.
Yeah.
Because the aliens are like rocks or something like that.
Right.
And they like embed into your skin or something like that. And I was terrified.
I was gonna say, I don't like it when things get in your skin like that. That's why I didn't like the Alien franchise, because I saw Prometheus before I ever saw Alien, and Prometheus the prequel. It's like the prequel, right? And so when I saw the snake, that was actually the first R-rated movie I ever saw as a kid, because my parents wanted to see it, and I snuck out of my room because they sent us all but this is when I was like 11, 10, right? And so they sent us all to bed, and I hear they're watching Prometheus, and I'm like, I want to see that movie so bad. So I get out of my room. They have a couch, and then the TV, and my door is behind the couch. So I'm sneaking up behind the couch, and I'm watching Prometheus, and I get to the scene where the snake gets out of the egg.
Yeah.
It's like the alien.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wraps around this dude's arm, and the first thing I'm thinking of is he's like, "Oh my god, it's so cute. It's a little snake." And I'm thinking, you should get that shit right off you right the fuck now.
Yeah.
Get that off of you, cuz that's going to snap. And then it snapped his arm, and I was like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I was scared shitless. I got to be honest. I hated Prometheus the first time I saw it.
Really?
Yeah, no, that movie scared me, man, cuz my parents, I don't know what they were doing. They turned all the lights off. Then I ended up looking around the couch. Both of them were asleep because apparently they thought it was boring. But I was here like shitting bricks, and I'm watching Prometheus, and I get to the end, and I get up, and I don't even bother about my parents because they're both asleep at this point. Apparently they thought it was boring. But I go back to my room, and I could not sleep that night. I was, how you watch a scary movie and you're under the covers and you're just drenched in sweat?
Yeah.
It was that the entire night. But yeah, that movie scared me. And so it's funny because then I ended up watching the Alien franchise when I was older, and I was like, this is not nearly as scary as Prometheus. And I even saw Prometheus later, and I was like, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, but it's probably because I was younger. But then I got into Alien vs. Predator, and the whole Predator franchise, and then they came out with a new Predator movie.
Yeah.
And that was a bombshell, man, because that really ruined movies like that for me. Like they're trying to remake or add movies to all these old franchises like Friday the 13th, Michael Myers, all these old horror movies that you have, Alien, Predator, all these, and it's coming out really bad in my opinion. I think they're just trying to cash in on the money that was made when those movies came out, because everybody loved Alien versus Predator when it came out, right? Everybody loved Michael Myers' idea. You can't kill something that kills everybody else, right? The Chucky franchise, that movie has 7 movies in it now. The Saw franchise has that new Spiral spinoff. Saw that in theaters, but like all these are just, I feel like all of them are just trying to cash grab, and they're not really adding any substance to the actual series itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of these, like, what's the latest I saw? The latest Spiral movie, right? It doesn't even have to do with Jigsaw. It has to do with a guy that saw Jigsaw's work, and he became obsessed with, like, making the traps and stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually add anything to Jigsaw. Like, what happened to Jigsaw? Oh, I don't know. was not in the movie. You will never find out, you know. So
who the fuck cares?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's
like
oh,
he's an
whatever.
important character.
Yeah. It's not like he's a staple of the entire franchise. Oh, it doesn't matter. But it's a lot of that because like in the old Alien movies, you would see aliens and the tagline, or like Alien versus Predator, the tagline of the entire franchise was there's aliens fighting predators, and no matter who wins, humans are fucked, basically, right?
Yeah.
But now in the new Predator movie, it's like, well, you got predators fighting the military, and there's like a kid with autism who figured out predators' technology.
Yeah.
And so now humans have a chance. It's like that's not what the franchise was about at all when it started out. But now everything's trying to get back into the franchise, trying to revamp it. It doesn't need revamping, man. Make a new idea.
Yeah.
Which is why I like the idea of these short films, because it's all about making new ideas and coming up with new stuff. But at the same time, it brings a question of like, you know, what hasn't been said already, basically. You know how many movies are out there, films are out there. It's like basically everything that could be said has been said.
Yeah, that's what I think sometimes. I see a lot of new movies coming out. I was like, damn, you know, I wish we got like a new fresh idea. But then also at the same time, I was like, but what is a new fresh idea?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like I feel like if we did see something new and creative, we'd be like, well, that wasn't as entertaining as I thought it would be, and then it would just be pushed to the side, unless it was like the Blair Witch Project. Yeah, you know, it's funny. We were just crapping on that 5 minutes ago, but now we're coming back. It's like, yeah, I understand why it was so popular.
Yeah, it was kind of new. It was kind of different.
Yeah,
you know?
And yeah, it's going off of the idea that there's a witch in the woods, which how many movies uses that idea? Every single horror movie you could think of. But you know, it's just the take on how you view the characters in the movie that was so different that everybody tried catching on that. Now you have Blair Witch Project, you got Chronicle, you got like I said, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but you got all these found footage movies that have taken Blair Witch Project and tried to go off the rails with found footage. Yeah. So it's interesting how you see one movie and it goes into a lot of different things, but yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, you have any plans for anything that you wanted to do with your filming career? Like, did you want to start anything like the Blair Witch Project? Like, I'm sure that they didn't think they were gonna make a whole new genre of horror movies, but were you thinking of starting like if you could take a different take on any particular movie?
A different take?
Yeah.
Man, I have no idea. See, like, I'm not good with like coming up with like good stories, you know?
No, like, I can't say anything. I'm not either, man. I'm asking you because I have nothing on this. I have no experience in the film industry, or, you know, I like to critique films. I watch a lot of film critiques on YouTube, but that doesn't necessarily make me a film critique. Yeah. You know, so.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing, you know, critique films and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Critique.
I mean, critic. Like, our best idea was get stuck in someone's tooth.
Right, yeah. But, you know, it's crazy because the amount of work you put in, I bet, was a couple of days at least.
Yeah, we were kind of trying to brainstorm some ideas, and like, but we couldn't really come up with one that was like really good. And also, I'm not a writer in the slightest, so I was like, hey, if we come up with an idea, I can't write it because like I'm not good at doing that shit. And so we came up with like the something stuck in your teeth because we were kind of trying to go like the horror way, which I think a lot of people our age tend to go that direction with a lot of stuff.
Of course, it's most interesting. People love watching horror movies.
Yeah. But then we overheard a lot of the people were doing like horror based or stuff like that. So we're like, okay, well, how about we do something a little different, like comedy or something like that? And our buddy came up with the something like two people on a date and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool, because also we were encouraged to go off campus to film this short film. So we're like, yeah, you know, that could work. You know, do like a park scene or something like that. And I said, what if he has like something stuck in his teeth or something like that? And she's just trying to figure out how to tell him. And that's what we went with. And then we found out that every other group filmed on campus. We were the only group that decided to film off campus.
Really? That's crazy.
And I was like, I thought the whole point of the second film was to go out, you know, because our first short film, we had to film on campus. Like, that was a requirement. And we were given a script. right? And they're like, but second film, you're encouraged to go off campus. And so I thought that was part of the learning process. You go off campus.
Yeah,
ask
to find different
permission, all that
environments,
stuff.
right? Yeah.
But then everyone else is like, it's just so much easier to shoot on campus. And I was like, you guys are fucking boring.
It's like, yeah, it is, but
you
let's
came
do
up with a
something
better
else.
story.
Yeah.
I was like, you may have stayed on campus, but your story was much better than ours. So yeah.
Win-win. That's what I'm hearing
Yeah.
right now. You guys did better. All right, I'll give you that.
But hey, I gotta say, like, I'm proud of what our second film came out to be, even though it's like a 2 minutes of people on a date. Like the montage. I was working on another project when we had to edit our short film, and so I had the director edit the film, and so he edited most of it, but he had to go, and I was finished with my project. So he's like, "Hey, do you want to finish it up?" And he's like, I got a little bit of the montage done, but I have no music and some of the audio needs to be added. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I did it. I found like great music. I did it. And dude, I was hyped about it, honestly. Like I was editing the film and I was like trying to make things happen like on beat with the music. And then I turned it in. I completely forgot to do like color corrections. So it's like really, bland. It's like gray and all that stuff. And I was like, well, shit. Whatever.
As long as you're proud of what you do, because as an electrician, that's in the field, I'm finding out a lot of people are just there for the paycheck, and I know you're not getting paid as a college student. A college giving students money is laughable, but a lot of people that come to the job, they're there for the paycheck, and they do just enough that whatever they're doing works, but it doesn't look good in any capacity. And if you went in as a person that knows nothing about electricity, you saw the work, you'd be like, what in the heck is that? You know what I mean?
Right.
But as long as you're proud of what you do, that shows that you actually want to put work into what you do. So, if you're happy with the product that came out, you're happy with the product that came out. Now, if you weren't and you knew it could have worked, you could have had more work on it, and you're not happy with the product that came out, then obviously, that just shows that you want to work harder on it and you actually care about what comes out. So, anyway, yeah, I'm just saying it's good that you like what you do.
Yeah, no, I fucking love it. Like even when we're doing the first short film, which I really shit on in this podcast.
I was gonna say, what was the short film that you worked on?
The first one?
Yeah.
So the first one we were given a script, and it was basically a story. Honestly, the story makes no sense. Every time I explain it, the people who are listening are like, okay,
right. This is a real film, right?
Yeah, but I always make sure I'm like, we didn't come up with this, so we're not the idiots. Okay, we were given this script. We had to film all the lines, all that stuff. And I mean, we made slight tweaks because like the English was very like bland, Instead of being like, because it's two friends who meet up, and instead of being like, hey, what's going on? They're just like,
hi, how are you?
They're like, BB?
Let's go do something.
The script is called Jake and BB, and so like the dude comes up, and instead of saying like, BB, what are you doing here? It's like, BB, how are you here, or something like that. And
okay. I see
I'm like, dude, that just doesn't really sound right. Reading the script, I was like, dude, this sounds so bad.
Insert adult conversation. What do you think about taxes?
Yeah, the first short film was this dude. Okay, he comes into a crisis center because he's looking for answers because his best friend had like just attempted suicide, right? So he's coming to this crisis center to find answers as to, I guess, like why he would do something like that. And when he goes to the crisis center, he sees someone that he knows working there, and so he's like, like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I work here. And she's supposed to be. They tell you she's like a quirky person, like she's not like other girls.
She's not like other girls.
Yeah.
She's different. She doesn't put Drake in her taglines or anything like that.
So he's just kind of surprised because he's like, why would you be working at a crisis center? Like this is supposed to be really serious, and you're like a quirky, not like other girls person. And
it's her whole personality.
Yeah, then he like goes into like, hey, you got to tell me, because his best friend apparently went to this crisis center and he talked to this girl. And so he's like, hey, tell me what's wrong with him, like all this stuff. She's like, well, I can't because, there's a crisis center, confidentiality,
Yeah.
And so like that's basically the story. He's looking for answers and she just won't give it to him. And then that's it.
That's the end of the film.
That's the film.
All right, I was expecting closure, but nah, I guess I'll have to come back for part 2.
Yeah, and so and
That's what your second film was about, actually. That's them at the crisis center, and then they go on a date at the park. It all comes together.
Yeah,
I'm liking
full
where this
circle.
is going. I want to know what part 3 comes out. They find the friend. All right, I'm done.
But yeah, we had to add a bunch of like shots and extra scenes and extra dialogue, and I made an appearance in the film because there was like 2 other characters, and we were only given 2 actors, right?
Okay, yeah.
But our short film had 4 characters, and so we're
Right.
like, thanks for that, I guess. And so we had to make guest appearances, me and my director. But yeah, it was an okay film. Like, the problem is that I've talked about this many times. I've complained about it because we just had setback after setback trying to do this film. Like, people canceling.
Mall
What?
insurance.
What?
Mall insurance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mall insurance. But yeah, like, the biggest issue was we had done official filming, right? We had one day, we had official filming. We had a bunch of shots done, and we're like, dude, this is great. We can come in the next day and just finish it up, right? We come in the very next day. Our actor comes in, fresh cut, new outfit.
Ooh.
And I'm like, and we had just had a conversation in the group chat where our actress was like, hey, do you guys remember what I was wearing for the film just to make sure we have continuity and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Gotta
yeah,
keep
sure.
that
So,
continuity.
we sent a picture, all that stuff, so she knew what she was wearing. So she came in the exact same thing. And he's a part of this group chat. It's like, did you not see the whole conversation where we talked for 5 minutes about
He
continuity?
just comes in. He's like, I was feeling plaid today. So, I mean, khakis, plaid, doesn't work? All right.
Yeah, and so we had to reshoot everything, and
The entire film.
Yeah, we had to reshoot everything, and then we had to come in another day because we had to reshoot everything that we just filmed, which took an entire day to film. So we had to reshoot all that. Then we came in the next day and finally finished it up. And luckily, he came in the same outfit. Because I was gonna be like, bro, if he comes in a different outfit, I'm going straight to my teacher and being like, we gotta fire these actors. I'm not working with these people anymore. But yeah, it was. But when I was editing, I think it came out rather well in editing. Even though like when I was filming, I was like, dude, this is gonna be a shitty film. But through editing magic, it actually looked halfway decent.
There you go. I was gonna say, if you get the whole class got the same script, right?
No, there was a selection of 5 scripts.
Okay.
And so each group got a different script.
Oh, okay. So there were 5 groups?
Yeah, there was 5 groups.
Okay. I was going to say, so I was going to, like, if you all get the same script, how deviant could you be from the source material? But if, you all got different scripts, then.
Yeah, I mean, we were told at the beginning when we were given the script where they were basically like, you have to shoot this film. Right? Like, you can't change anything.
Right.
And so when we were trying to make changes to it to make it sound better and have things make more sense, we were kind of worried. We're like, dude, I'm kind of nervous that like, he's gonna be like, that line's not in the script, 0,
Right.
But I was like, I think basically what he's trying to say is he doesn't want you to change the storyline, right? There's a beginning, middle, and end, and you have to somehow get to all those points. And he didn't have a problem with it because we had a full like extra minute at the beginning of made up dialogue and made up characters,
but it stuck to the main storyline.
Yeah, just so when you come into the actual script, it makes sense.
Right.
Because like he's supposed to walk into this crisis center and not notice the girl working at the front desk until he walks up and says, "Is this the crisis center?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and she's supposed to be talking to someone already, so that was our director. He had to fill in for that. And so we're like, dude, how the hell is he supposed to walk into the crisis center and not see the person at the front desk until he walks up and says, "Is this the crisis center?"
Yeah.
Then notices. So we had to make up this dialogue where she's talking to someone, she's hidden behind him, and he asked for his files. And when she's leaning down to get his files, that's when he walks up and says, "Is this the crisis center?" So she looks up and says, "Yo, Jake."
Where do you think you are?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
But yeah, and so we had to add all of that just so it made sense. And then I made a guest appearance as a doctor. So
the doctor.
Yeah, I had to have a lab coat on, and I had a clipboard, and I walked up to the girl at the front desk and I was like, "Yo, is my 2:00 here?" Was not in the script, but we had to add it because she talks to the doctor, but there's no doctor dialogue.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, how are they gonna add someone in if he's not standing right there?
Yeah, he's supposed to walk in and he's supposed to say something, and she replies with, "Oh, not yet, but I'll let you know when they get here." And so we're like, We can't
Yeah,
just
how-
have
yeah.
no dialogue and her
She's just, like, talking
randomly
to,
turn
like-
around, you know, and just be like, yo, not yet. Because
Yeah.
then the audience is like, who the fuck is she talking to?
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna
Like,
think
what did
she's
they
crazy.
say? Yeah.
So yeah. And also, you know, what was funny was when we were filming, one day there was like a few people in our area, which worked out because we wanted the Christ Center to kind of look populated.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next day, the people who were in the background weren't there anymore.
Right.
And so I'm like, dude, I hope our teacher doesn't be like, why does this person keep like appearing and disappearing between shots?
Every scene. Yeah.
But luckily he didn't notice, so that was fine. But yeah, lot of films, a lot of editing.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I got nothing about that.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
I was
to add.
I was gonna ask. So do you guys have set positions? I know you said you were the cameraman. Your two actors are they're actors in all the films you guys will be producing throughout the entire school year. Or?
Yeah, we had the same two actors for both short films. Now I don't know about future classes. I don't know if there's ever going to be other short films. I didn't even know there was going to be a short film for this class.
Okay.
You know? But yeah, so we worked with the acting class that's also at the school.
Okay, so it's not just your class.
Yeah, so like that was something that our group was like kind of joking around about. We're like, dude, we want to, because it's apparently for a grade for them, you know, the actors as well.
Right.
And so we're really shitting on their acting. And in the first short film, the second one, they came around. They actually delivered.
Yeah.
Except she was happy instead of disgusted.
Hey, but it
whatever.
worked out.
It worked
Yeah.
out. But yeah. And so we're joking around. We're like, dude, we got to send this to the teacher, which she was going to get it anyways. We're like, dude, we got to give this to the teacher so she can give them an F on their acting. But yeah, they were.
Can't sabotage someone's career like that, John.
But yeah, no, we didn't send it, and we didn't like even the actors. I mean, I have to send them eventually because the actors have been asking for the film. Well, they actually thought that we didn't get to keep a copy of the film, which I have a copy of both short films.
Yeah.
You know, it's on my hard drive, and so when we were filming for the second short film, when we were waiting for everyone to arrive, I'm with the actor. And he's like, man, it would be nice if we can get a copy of our short films. And I was like, I have a copy of the first short film.
Do you want it? Because
and he's
garbage.
like, oh, you know, like, can you give that to me? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I might need it for like, you know, auditions and stuff like that. And I was like,
pave my way to Broadway, if you know what I'm saying.
And I just said to him, I was like, yeah, sure, you know, whatever. But in my head, I was like, look, bro, you may want to make better short films because. If you send our first short film in for auditions,
you will not get
you are
anything.
not getting a position. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like you just did not deliver your best. And I feel like if we had more time to shoot all the scenes, like we could have like really helped them out with where we wanted the acting to go for the first short film because we filmed like 4 or 5 days, right?
Right.
And the first 2 days, we were trying to tell them, look, we need this emotion, and we would stop the filming to like really tell them, like, look, you really need to make it known.
Yeah.
But they just weren't doing it, and so it came to crunch time. And we're like, dude, just film 3 shots of every scene and just move on with it. And so like
Whatever the best makes it.
yeah, and so
gotcha.
I mean that's kind of like the thing. It's like if we had more time, like maybe we could point them
Really
in a
hash
direction of
things
like,
out.
look, we want our film to look like this and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said with the girl when she wasn't looking disgusted, she was looking happy. It's like, dude, how easy is it to just sort of like do that?
Kinda,
you know?
yeah,
the
just-
entire time, like, dude, it's really not that hard.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was just sort of the thing. I was like, man, I wish we had more time to just like
Really get the details down.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm trying to relate this to my job because that's that's all I'm doing as I'm working right now. But it's interesting that you bring that up because the way that the job works, you can have a great foreman telling people what to do. You know, you need to get this done, you need to get this done, and have it done in this certain way. But if the workers don't understand what they have to do, if they don't get it from the foreman, or if they do it a certain different way, then the whole project falls apart. So just like you were saying, you wanted the film to be done a certain way. You were telling the actors, look, we need to get this done. You need to have to do it this way. But if the actor doesn't understand that, or if they don't want to do it that way, then the entire film falls apart because the whole message is based upon how the actor works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm seeing that's not. I always thought that was just in film. You know, it's like, look, if someone tells you to do something and you got to do it a specific way, then the whole message rides upon the actor. Can you believe, like, in Star Wars, if Yoda was actually not some old guy, old green goblin or whatever he is, they actually don't ever say, but if he was like, if he looked the same but he was acting happy the entire time, don't you think people would be like, Yoda is a little off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's weird how that rides upon. I didn't realize, now that I'm talking to you about it now, that much rides on how an actor perceives, or how the audience perceives what the actor is supposed to be trying to get across. Because you can have bad actors but a good movie, or a bad movie but good actors.
Yeah.
People have gotten great scripts, but the actors have been horrible and the entire thing has been a flop. I've seen that on a lot of films that never made it to the theaters, went straight to DVD, because them shits was terrible, man.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the actor's fault. It was the script, or it wasn't the script's fault. It was the actors. So there's a lot of moving parts that, I mean, you know this obviously, and anybody else knows this, because obviously there's a lot of moving parts in the film, but I think it can really just be hashed down to the script, editing, and the actors at the end of the day, because you can really save a lot of stuff with editing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was when we were shooting, like I said, I was like, dude, this is not gonna be good. But then when it came to editing, like through editing magic, we made it look a lot better.
Like decent.
Yeah,
decent. You were able to turn it in. So
because I mean, there was like some points where they would deliver pretty good lines, you know. So just editing all that together, it makes it look like it's a pretty good film. But I mean, I'm proud of the editing work, but it's not a film I want to show.
Do you edit the film itself, or is that someone else? You're the cameraman, so.
Well, yeah. So I edited one half of the first short film, and our director edited the second half, because while we were editing, our third guy, who's the microphone dude, he was writing the script for the second film, and so we're like, yeah, we'll have him write, and we'll do the editing.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, Mike guy didn't really do a whole lot of work. Like, he actually missed both official filming days, and so like I had to work the mic and the camera for filming days.
So how'd that work out? So you were literally holding the camera and the mic at the same time?
Well, for the first short film, it was actually kind of good because they had like lapel mics. You know?
Okay.
But I had to have like the control panel in front of me so I can like monitor their volume. So I have like this bag strapped around my neck.
Yeah.
And I have like all these wires, because they're connected to the transponders that connect to the
mics itself,
to the lapel mics. And then also I have wired headphones so I can like listen to all that stuff. And so I got like all these wires, straps galore, and I'm just like, I have to like press the record button on the audio and the camera.
Yeah.
And
sync it up at the same time, and the security guard comes around trying to get me to sign some papers. I say, fuck you. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, we didn't want to use the lapel mics the second film, because there was just random times where, like, I don't know if it was with the clothes or something like that, but you would just get random scratching and screeching, and it hurt the shit out of my ears. Like, you would have the headphones in, and it just like all of a sudden just peaks audio.
Yeah.
And you like rip the headphones off. You're like, God damn. You know?
Like, everybody else is like, what's wrong with John over there? You're like on the floor crying.
Yeah, we had
nothing. You guys haven't heard the audio.
We had to like cancel some shots because like we'll be in the middle of filming, and you know he'll be delivering a line and be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" She's like, "I work here," and then like right as she's saying here, it's just like screeching, peak, and they're like, "Okay,
like how
we gotta
ears,
cut."
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of glad that the short films are over though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind my production team, but
you'd rather work on individual stuff.
What's that?
You'd rather work on individual filming, or
yeah. I mean, I rather do like I'd rather be given footage and then I just edit it, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And like last semester, I did this interview project where, you know, I had to interview someone, not like this, but sort of like, you know, official documentary style and all that stuff. And that was fun. That was like all on me. I had to get lights, camera, like all of it was provided by the school, and conducted this interview. Then I had to go get B-roll, and that was to me more enjoyable than
trying to actually film it.
Yeah, doing the short film.
Yeah, it's I tried to film something when I was really young. I had this old computer that I hooked up on top of a old synthesizer that I had, right? And I wanted to make a short film, but I was 10. And so I'm gonna play into the but part, because but I was 10 means that this film was gonna be absolute garbage. Right? So I had grand hopes that this was gonna be a really good film. I came in, I was thinking, I'm like, all right, you know, I don't even remember what the point of the film was. I remember I just wanted to film something, and I start filming, and I just hit record, and it's me and my brother, and you know, I don't remember what the film was about, but we get a couple takes, and this is the first scene of whatever it was we were filming. And I go through the clips, and you know how, like, in the middle of the night you'll wake up and you'll be like, man, I need to turn my life around, right? Yeah. So just in the middle of this filming, I think to myself, I'm like, man, fuck all this. This is some bullshit. And I just shut it all down, and my brother's like, what are you doing? We were just going through the filming. I'm like, it's all garbage. Just turn it off. Get it all off. So I'm thinking, I totally understand what you said. Like, you don't like making, you know, going through the actual filming process. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, if it takes more than 4 takes, I'm like, man, if we didn't get it then, we're never going to get it again. So, which is crazy, because for stuff like The Avengers and I think it was The Shining, they had to do like some crazy number, like 50 takes to get this one line delivered. And I'm like, that's why I'd never be, it sounds great to be an actor, but if they had to do stuff like that, never again. I would never do more than one film.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how annoying it would be, but like, there'd be times when we would film like our short film, and we're like doing a scene or something like that, and like something funny would happen. Someone would say a joke or whatever, and they'd start like laughing, or like they mess up the dialogue and they start laughing. You know, like bloopers and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're watching a movie and you go to the extras and you watch the bloopers, you're having a grand time. You're like, this shit is hilarious, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
But when I'm filming, I'm like, dude, time is money. Okay, stop laughing.
We don't have time for this funny shit. All right, get it out.
I'm like, dude, get it together.
Yeah.
Let's get this film done.
Yeah. It's probably because you're on such a tight timetable too. But I see what you're saying. Like, look, if you wanna make a joke, do it off the clock on your own time, because we gotta get this shit filmed and out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I didn't realize how annoying it would be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No,
I mean, it was kind of funny, because like I would say a joke. You know, I'm a funny guy, so like I'd say a joke, they laugh, and I'd be proud of myself.
Right.
But then at the same time, I was like, but nobody else say funny shit.
Yeah,
I want to get this
because
film
if
done.
you do, then we're not going to be filming that much anymore. Yeah, it's crazy. I was watching a bloopers thing for The Office or whatever, which is crazy because it's a 17 season show or something.
Yeah, it's like 9 seasons.
Yeah, 9 season. I'm thinking, how many times did they go through these scenes and someone cracked? And I know that they keep track of that too, because in the scene that I was watching, one of the actors started laughing, and then one of the other actors just said, "Oh, he cracked first." So I know that happens often, because they keep track of it throughout the entire season. So, but it's interesting, because I don't even know how much it takes to. I have no idea how much it takes to put into a show.
Yeah.
Because there's a movie and that takes so long, but then there's a show and you gotta have the same actors, and sometimes it's the same time period too. Because if you recall, have you ever seen It by Stephen King? Not the movie, or not the book, but the movie.
Yeah.
So
the newer ones.
The newer ones, yeah. So they filmed at 2 different points, right? So there was the kid actors and then the adult actors in the second movie, and so they filmed all the kids scenes for the first movie, because the first movie revolved around the children.
Yeah.
The second movie revolved around the adults, but they still had some scenes as kids. But the movie took place years after the first movie was filmed. So obviously the kid actors had aged a bit. So there was some de-aging that CGI that took place on the kids' faces. And so, you know, if you have a show, it's easy because you keep the actors there. So you can follow them through their aging process throughout the show. And you say, oh, so you're not surprised. But when it's something like that, when it's a movie and you film years later, but you're expected to have the same physical appearance because it's supposed to take place, minutes after the last movie happened?
Yeah.
you obviously are gonna see the changes, especially when it's CGI, because our CGI is pretty good. If you go back to 2001 and you look at like a Star Wars movie, and then you go back to today and you see a Star Wars movie, it's like, okay, yeah, I can obviously see the difference. But for this movie in particular, there's one kid, and you can see how the CGI doesn't really fit up with his face, because it like glows in a certain way or something.
Oh, really?
But it's obvious once you look at it. You just have to go looking for it. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's that's why I was gonna say it's easy to do it with the show, because you have the actors there the entire time. And yeah, they have other movies and projects that they have to work on. But at the end of the day, they're still coming to your show to film whatever they need to do, instead of doing a season and then waiting a couple of years and then doing another season, which some shows do. But they give reasons for why the actors have different physical appearances. Like, oh, this is 3 months later. Oh, this is 3 years later. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which, I've seen it used to great effect, but I don't know how obvious that is in films that you do. Not that you're doing, year projects or anything, but...
no, because filming our 2 short films was just like 3 weeks in between.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So, you're not going to notice any physical changes.
Yeah. Except the dude's hair had grown a little bit. Because he got a fresh cut for our first
Yeah, I was
film.
going to say, and he showed up in plaid, and... No, I'm fine, but, yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. But I enjoy more like just receiving the footage.
Right.
Or if I do have filming, I'd rather it just be like me.
Yeah, your own.
Just do like an interview type
your
thing.
Own projects.
Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if like I'd be able to work on like a big set and all that stuff. Only
taking
because,
different cuts and everything.
Yeah, only because I would probably be like, but then again, it's not really my project if I'm just like a helper,
Yeah.
So like, I'd just be like, whatever. I don't care if it takes 20 takes. I'm not on any timetable. I'm still getting my paycheck.
But if you were the director, do you think it would frustrate you more when you start having more bloopers?
I mean, maybe. Probably after a while, I'd be like, guys, come on, pull it together.
Gotta get this shit together.
It's like sometimes you watch like bloopers where like you were saying, it took like 50 takes to deliver one line, where it'd be like a line that's like not funny at all, but they just keep laughing. I'm like, dude, all you're doing
there's
is
no
saying,
humor.
hey, what's up?
Yeah.
That's all you're saying.
Yeah.
What's funny?
Yeah.
But then again, maybe since they worked on a film for so long, they're like best buds, and so they're probably laughing along.
They're joking around.
Yeah. Versus this, where I'm like, these actors are literally just
delivering the single line. It's not that difficult, and let's just get it done.
They're just assets to my movie. You
Right.
know? This is my movie. I just want to edit the movie and turn it in.
So where have you gotten footage before, aside from the interview that you were talking about earlier, but where have you ever gotten footage that you just had to edit?
Oh, well, I have a few like post-production classes, and I don't know, there's got to be like some company or multiple companies that make like almost short films, but they're not really films. They're more just like scenes.
Okay.
Like the first one I ever did was a fight scene. And so it almost seems like you're just hopping in the middle of like a show or a movie, right? And so there's like this group that just films everything, like real professional, like, and
they just give you a footage of like a bunch of different cuts of fight scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so like the school has it or whatever, and so they're like, hey, here are the files for it, and it'll be like tons of files, like the first, like the fight scene, there wasn't that much scenes. It was like a pretty short film, but like there was other ones where they would give you like hundreds of hours of footage that you had to sift through just to make something.
Yeah.
Like the most recent one I did was like this like thing called like Overtime. This was more like a short film, and it was basically this dude who's a werewolf and he's trying to get home before he transforms into a werewolf. But it's his birthday, and so his fellow workers, his colleagues, they're trying to throw him a surprise party, right? And so they need to keep him at the office. They can't let him go home because they're setting up the party or whatever. And so the whole time he's just trying to leave, and they keep giving him more work, more issues, and he's like, dude, I'm not even kidding. I have to get home because he's going to turn into a werewolf and he's going to like kill people.
Right.
And so he runs into all these issues, and eventually he gets home and everyone is there, and they say happy birthday. And you don't see it, but basically the idea is
Ends
that
up
he
killing
kills
them all.
everyone at the party. That's basically
Dang.
the idea. But yeah, that we were given ton of footage because like the beginning is supposed to be a montage of him working, right? And I love options, but they gave us a shit ton of options.
Yeah.
You know.
So is it like similar scenes of him like in the montage? Just like I'm assuming it's like pictures of him or like scenes of him like writing on paper or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's like writing on a paper. He's like circling stuff, Xing stuff out. He's typing on the computer and all
So
that
did they
shit.
just give you a bunch of different scenes of him doing those things, and you just got to pick and choose which scenes work best for your montage?
They gave us like a bunch of scenes of shredding papers, and they gave us a bunch of scenes of people just, I don't know if it's him or if it's just a hand, because it's just like really close to the paper. So it's just like scribbling out stuff, circling stuff in red ink and all that stuff, pulling out folders, closing them up, flipping pages. And every once in a while, like you would get a scene where it shows his face to give you the idea that he's the one working.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but they just gave us a ton.
Yeah.
And so like I wanted to use a lot, you know, and so like the first 30 seconds of the film is just like
him
like 20
circling and
different
writing and
things.
scribbling. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like 20 different shots all edited together in a montage of him like working. And that took a long time for me to edit because like I have to look through and because not only because I mean usually like when you're doing like when you're watching an acting scene, right, you'll be seeing something and you know maybe the actor on a certain scene like delivers a line wrong, you know, and you're like, okay, well obviously I'm not using that. But when it comes to B-roll, you could literally almost use anything, but you just have to find what you kind of like,
Right.
you know. So that's the thing that really takes a long time. But yeah, pain in the ass one for the fighting scene was there was this one shot where I was trying to get this shot where the guy like elbows this dude in the face, and I got a scene where he like chucks something at a wall and gets the protagonist to like duck, and then he runs up to him and then he like elbows him in the face, and I edited it to make it look really authentic, and I was really proud of it. But then when the teacher was reviewing, he's like, I wouldn't use this scene because he's chucking like it was like a gray yoga mat rolled up. He's like chucking that. He's like, there's a scene where he throws a chair, so you should use that. So I was like, okay. So I look at the chair scenes. There's only like 2 chair scenes, and neither of them work for the following scene where he like elbows the dude in the face. I was like, dude, nothing else is working.
Yeah.
You know, you gave me 10 different shots, but 8 of them is the foam mat, and there's just 2 chair scenes, and neither of them work with the rest of my film. And so I had to do some sound editing to make it sound like it's some like metal pipe or something that he's throwing at him. Because my teacher was really trying to get me to change it, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but the elbow scene is just too good. I'm not changing it.
I don't know what you want. I'm keeping it though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, has there ever been anything at like your work where like you do something and it works really well, and your foreman's like, I wouldn't do it that way? And
You know, not me personally, but there's a lot of I've heard a lot of stories of people that do it a certain way, and then the foreman will come around, and you know these people have worked on this project for days, and it's just, you know, you got a whole project, you're looking at the print, and you got to put up a certain amount of lights, let's say, and you put all these lights up, and you get them all wired, and you get the pipe through, you get the wire through, you get everything turned on, and the foreman comes around and he's like, look, we got to have the lights all dropped to a certain... Actually, you know what? Now that you bring it up, I have worked on something, because we were putting all these lights up, and we had them at a certain height, and then we go, we finish, we put everything away, we're, you know, putting all the light material away, and the foreman comes around and he's like, we got to drop all these lights. And the only problem with that is the wiring, we cut to the specific height that they had the lights. And he said we got to drop the lights lower than they are right now. We didn't have enough wiring on each light to drop it to that depth. And so we're like, look, we got to redo everything if you want to drop it. And he's like, we got to drop it. And so at this point, me and the guys I'm working with are all heated. We're all angry at the foreman. We're like, we can't do this. It just took us like 2 days to put all these lights up. We're not doing it over again. And the foreman's like, well, it's got to be dropped to this specific height. I don't know why you didn't see it before. The only issue was he brought in revised prints the day of. And so we didn't know that it was supposed to be dropped until he brought in those prints. And he's just looking at it now. He's like, all these lights got to be dropped. And we're finding this out for the first time. We're all pissed because it took us 2 days to put these lights up. So we ended up, we took all the lights down. We rewired all the lights. We dropped them down to the specific height. And then the GC comes around, right? And GC, we told him, he's like, wow, you already had these lights up. Why are you taking them all down? And we're like, well, the print says we got to drop them. And he's like, Don't worry about that. It doesn't really matter. Man, we were all pissed as hell because we were like, we just spent 4 days taking these lights down and putting them back up, and now the GC's saying it doesn't really matter. Now, it doesn't matter that we dropped them, so we left them like it was.
Yeah.
But if we had known the first time, we could actually, because we had to use leftover wire to wire all these lights up and bring them down, but the first time it was all nice because you used the wire that came with the lights, so all the same color. You know, you use the chain that come with the lights, so it was all real nice and professional.
Yeah.
But then when we took it all down, we ended up using scrap pieces just to put the lights up, and it looked like garbage. And so of course I'm not happy because the product looks like garbage, and like I wouldn't want to walk into a store and look up at the lights and see, oh, that you could tell that it had to be taken down and put back up. So, you know, I'm not happy. The other people aren't happy because they had to work, you know, on the same project for 2 days or 4 days when we could have done it in 2. And the foreman's pissed because he found out the GC's like, oh, it doesn't really matter. And he's like, well, then I didn't need to put all these other people working on the project for that long when I could have gotten something else done. But it's just little things like that in the project that you find out, and it sets you back. Like you were saying, you got to do it sets back on the project, sets back on the entire site as a whole, because then we're backed up. I mean, this is just 2 days, but I'm talking about there's stuff that has been taking months, and then we have to work on it again because somebody didn't do one thing right or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like I said, there's a lot of moving parts that go into it, and everybody's got to sync up. It's even harder because you got it's not just electricians on the site. You got framers working around you. You got plumbing working around you. You got HVAC people working around you, and everybody got to sync up because if there was a project we were working on, I eventually got kicked off because the GC and I got into a fight about something, but that's a different story.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it was a whole issue.
What's a GC by the way?
A GC is the project coordinator, so he looks over the entire site. So he's like the boss of the entire site. So all the trades, so HVAC, plumbing, electrical, they'll all go to him. He has the master prints.
Oh.
So he knows what the entire project's supposed to look like at top to finish.
Yeah.
And so so if you got any major questions that have to do with like say the HVAC people put something in the way and you got something you need to put there, you go to the GC and be like, look, I got this HVAC stuff in the way, and I need to put my stuff there. He would say, okay, well, you can put your stuff over here, or you can install your stuff over here, because the prints are kind of leaning about where this needs to go. But the foreman, it is specific to each company. So you got electrical foreman, you got HVAC foreman, and they tell the installers, which is me, what to do. And so so there was a project I was working on, and the electricians went ahead of the other trades so far that we actually had to pull off the site and wait for the other trades to catch up. And so we're waiting for the other trades to catch up, and I'm on a different site, and then they say, all right, you got to go back because the other trades caught up, and now you got to go back and keep going on your site, basically. Yeah. And so we're working again, and then we have to pull off again. And this is a couple months at a time. So I'm working there for a couple months, and I got pulled off the job site again, and we go to a different job site, and same deal. We're waiting on the other trades to catch up to us, basically, right?
You guys are just too good.
Hey, man, apparently on this project we were, or the other trades were just slow.
Like, but this is child's play.
Yeah, really. You know? I mean, it was a simple job because it was just you had to put lights up on each floor and then exit signs on each floor, and that was basically it. Yeah. And then the project comes near a close, right? And so I don't care what anybody tells you, when the project comes to a close, everybody's crunched for time. You get the GC starts yelling at everybody. Because he's dealing with his owners, or the owners of the company are getting on him, asking him why the project isn't done in a certain amount of time. I have not seen a single project that has been finished on time, because there's always going to be setbacks on a site. There's always going to be issues, and it's always going to push you back for time. So whatever time they say, well, we got to open on this amount of date, you got to tell them, hey, it's going to be open a couple weeks later, because we got issues or little details that we got to kink out at the end of the project.
Sorry, anyway, bro, it ain't happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, hey, man, you got to wait, because it's not going to be set that time. But so we come in. The other trades are basically they're on their details at this point. So they're finished with the major parts and they're working on details. And so we still have our work to do, but the only issue was we were waiting on the other trade, so we couldn't do it at the time we needed to do it. So we come in, and then the GC's like, look, man, you guys need to finish it like today.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have like a month of work left.
Damn.
And so, you know, we're like, well, it's going to take us a little bit to finish what we need to do. But at that point, we already have a lot of other projects that we need people on. And at this point, the company is already, a lot of people have quit because the other issues, the company isn't paying them enough, or they found better opportunity somewhere else. So suffice to say, we're spread thin between all these projects that my company kept bidding on and the people that we have in the company. And so it's me and this other guy and the foreman, and we're just hashing out as much as we can get done on this project. So I'm putting pipe up. We're working with the fire alarm people to get their stuff up, because electricians actually do more than just what is in the electrical print. We have to put pipe up for the fire alarm people. We got to put pipe up for the data people. So like telephones and like communications, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We put all the pipe up for that. They just got to run the wire through and put their little installs on. So
man, y'all laying pipe.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh man, all day I'm laying pipe. But man, you're not the first person to come with that joke. I know you wanted
really?
to. yeah. I tell lots of people like, oh, you laying pipe? It's like, yeah, bro, all day. All day I'm laying pipe, different sizes every day.
Here I was thinking I was being unique. I was
Nah,
like,
man.
yeah, laying pipe. Let's go.
I'm not like other men. Nah, so the GC says, hey, you got to get this done in a day, or in a week or so, some crazy amount of time, right?
Right.
So we're getting as much done, and obviously, since we're rushing, it's not going to look as good as if we had enough time to actually do it correctly and how he wanted it done. And so I'm putting some stuff up, and I'm rushing because it's I have 3 floors of this stuff to do. I'm on the first floor, and I got to get 2 more floors finished. And I'm like, all right, if I really work hard, I can have this done in a week, because it's 3 floors, and like each floor takes me about a day and a half, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll finish it in that amount of time. I finished the first floor, and it looks all right. Everything's straight. Everything's fine. I do the second floor. It's a little not as straight, a little curvy, but the lights are straight. So I'm like, all right, fine. Who's even going to go in here anyways? I do the third floor, and you could tell I left some slack on the wire because it's not hanging from the ceiling, but it's curved to the point where you can walk in and tell. So this is the point where the GC gets pissed at me. He comes and he's like, look, don't put nothing else up. If you put anything else up, I'm going to kick you off this job.
What the fuck?
Hey, that's what my reaction was. I was like, what? I had my headphones in. I was working at the time. I had my headphones in. I took my headphones on. I'm like, what did you say? And he's like, don't put nothing else up. I'm gonna call the office. I'm gonna kick you off this job. I was like, and he walked off. And I was like, damn, bro. All right. So that's how we playing today. So I packed my shit up. I called my foreman. I'm like, look, man, I can't work anything else on this job. The GC is going to kick me off the job. The foreman calls me. He's like, all right, just go to a different job. We got another one lined up. Just go over there. We're going to have some work over there for you. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm working at this other project, and they're like, look, Luke, you got to go back to the project at hand because we have more stuff over there we need to get finished. I'm like, all right, fine.
The one you're not allowed to work on.
The one I'm not allowed to work on. I'm like, all right, fine. You know what?
Oh, man, here we go.
At this point, it was a couple weeks after all this had happened.
Oh, okay.
And the office had called the GC, and the GC was like, yeah, I was in the heat of the moment. I didn't need to say all that. And I was surprised. I was like, damn, the office really got my back. Because the foreman I was working under, he and I are really tight. And the foreman called the office, and he's like, look, that was really unprofessional what the GC did. So the office called the GC. They swore him out. They did all this shit. And the GC was like, yeah, all right, fine. He can come back and work. And so I came back to the project, and I'm working on these lights, and I'm putting them up on the canopy, and I'm working with some other people, and the GC doesn't really notice me. And so that's one day. Then they come back the next day, and it's just me and this other dude. And the foreman I'm working with, he was there the first day, but he's not here the second day. He's like, look, here's what you got to do for the day, and I'm going to go to another project. I'll be gone for the day. And so it's just me and this other worker, and we're like, all right, fine, we got to get it done. We'll get it done. And so I'm putting up some flex or something. And just so you know, flex is like, it's like plastic tubing for wire. and so it's not like straight.
Okay.
And so you can mold it to wherever you need it to go, right?
Mhm.
So I'm molding it to where I need it to go, and it's kind of off kilter, but I'm putting another strap on to make it look straight.
Right.
And I'm not even done with what I'm doing. The GC comes up behind me, and he starts swearing me out again. He's like, "None of this shit is straight. Work you do is bullshit. Yada yada yada. You can't do none of this. You can't do none of that." I'm like, man, I ain't even got time for this. I packed up my shit. I called the foreman. I was like, look, man, this man's getting pissed again. I gotta go to a different project. And at this point, I already realized the GC was looking for an excuse to get angry at me, because I could tell he was looking around, kind of being like, oh, what's he do? What's, in reference to me, he was like, what's he doing today? What's he doing at this project back again? And so at this point, I was like, he's looking for excuses to get me knocked off the job. So I called the foreman. I called Sam, the office, and I was like, look, I can't work at this project. Y'all got to send me somewhere else. Fuck this dude. I'm not working with him.
Yeah.
And so they sent me to the same project I was working on earlier, the same project they sent me when they sent me off this project. And so I'm like, all right, I'm working on that project again. And that's where I've been since then. But, yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And at the end of the day, if some higher up doesn't mess with you like that, then you're going to have issues as an employee. Because if you have issues with your foreman, if you have issues with the GC, then it's going to bleed into how you work. Because you can't, like I said, I wasn't even done with what I was doing, and the GC came up behind me and started yelling at me. Obviously, I didn't finish what I was doing. I'm not going to wait there and be like, yeah, no, please tell me how bad my work is while I try to fix what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here.
I'm like, if you're going to be a dick to me, I'm going to make your shit look
Yeah,
bad.
exactly. Yeah, I was like, hey. And he was saying I was working on the front door or some shit, which, by the way, I wired up. And my issue with the GC was I was there since the beginning of the project. I was doing underground for the project. I worked from the ground up. I was on every single floor. The GC knew I was working there. And then at the very end, he starts having an issue with me. I wanted to say, look, man, I was working on this project the entire time, and now you got beef with me? Mm-hmm. Like, you should have said something earlier, because I've been working on this project the entire time. You can't just come out of nowhere. Because he never even let me know that he had an issue with me until the very end of the project. And that's when he blew up. That's why I was pissed, because I was like, you didn't even say anything. Like, you didn't even hint in the fact that I was doing bad work.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking when you were, like, the first time he came up and had beef with you. I was like, really? Just because, like...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, it's...
straight?
I was telling everybody else at the office, I was like, look, if he told me, like, hey, this needs to be fixed, it doesn't look good, I'd be like, all right, yeah, fine, I'll go back and fix it. I'll drop what I'm doing right now. I'll go back and fix what I need to do. But he would just came out of nowhere saying, hey, I'm going to kick you off the job if you keep putting stuff up. I was like, hey, we went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
That was way crazy. You jumped out of nowhere saying, I'll kick you off the job. I was like, bro, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but, I mean, he should have just came up and said, yo, can you just make this a little straighter?
Hey,
thanks, bro.
Fine. Hey, done. I got it. I got you, bro. But he came out of nowhere with that. So, but yeah, I got stories about the GC messing up. I got stories about how the foreman and employees got angry at each other. There was one time, he doesn't work for the company anymore, but there was an employee that got into a fight with the foreman every single day he was working with him, right?
Right.
And so I wasn't actually at the project. I heard about it from other employees, but I come to the project, I'm working with the foreman, and I hear the other employees talking. I'm like, hey, you knew what happened about this one guy that left? And so they're telling me, they're like, yeah, every day he'd come in, he'd be talking to the foreman saying, I want to do it a certain way. The foreman would say, I want it done a certain way. And they get into fights about how it's done and, you know, how it ties into the rest of the project and everything, which, you know, if you're an employee looking at your boss and you tell your boss, look, I'm going to do it a certain way, and your boss says, I want it done this way, who you going to do it that way of? You're going to do it the way the boss tells you to do it, because he's a boss, right?
Like, maybe you could give suggestions and be like, hey, maybe it would look a little better or be a little better doing
exactly,
this. But at the end of the day, if the boss says
it's got to be done this way, you're doing it that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he didn't want to at the same time, this employee, he had big visions of starting his own company And he was like, yeah, one day I'm going to be telling people what to do. And I'm like, yeah, one day you will. It ain't going to be today, though.
Yeah.
Because he was a long way away of starting his own business. You got to get your business license. You got to get insurance. You got to get your journeyman's license, an electrician. You got to get your own truck. This dude had none of that.
Yeah.
And he came in talking, yeah, I'm going to start my own business. And he actually came to me. It was funny. I remember I was working on a project with him. He pulled me aside. He's like, look, I got jobs lined up. You and me and some other dudes working here. We could work the weekends. I'd give you $3,000 for the weekend. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. Where's the project at? He's like, Chicago. I said, fuck no. I ain't driving for nowhere in Chicago. By the time we get there, we're going to have to go back just so I can get back to work over here in this company I know is going to pay me. And he was like, well, if you really think about it, which, by the way, if anybody starts a conversation with if you really think about it, automatically just don't listen to them. Because whatever comes out of their mouth is going to be absolute bullshit.
Yeah, it's a real stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, really. It's like, if you really
like,
think about it,
okay.
circle is a square. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like, okay, maybe if I think really hard about it.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not trying to put that much thought into this. But he was like, yeah, if you really think about it, you know, you can make a lot more money than you do in a week. And I'm like, yeah, I could. But that's assuming perfect conditions. Like, the person you got has a permit. You have a license. We have accommodations for, like, staying there and getting food and everything. And he's like, yeah, I'll pay for all that. I'm like, how you going to pay for it when you getting the $500? I know you getting a $500 check every week from this company. Ain't no way you paying for 3 dudes to fly up to Chicago and then back again and make $3,000 each.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that's going to happen. And he's like, hey, well, if you were starting a company, maybe you would understand. I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I was starting a company, maybe I would understand. But I'm nowhere near that. So clearly you got something else going on that I don't understand. But
damn, Chicago, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, if he said something like, oh, Fort Lauderdale in Florida, I'd be like,
yeah.
All right, fine. Yeah, we'll drive to Fort Lauderdale on the weekend, get it done, make a couple bands. Fine, easy, simple. But he was saying Chicago or Michigan, and he was saying another job was lined up in New York. And I was like, bro, it's cool you got people you know up in these places, but I'm not flying up for a weekend.
Yeah.
He said he wanted it done in a weekend, like a whole warehouse. Just to give you some context, a small warehouse. Let's say a small warehouse, like Arms Depot or something, small like that, right? That takes at least 7 months to complete from top to bottom. Get all the lights on the outside, get the lights on the inside, do the underground, put the panels up, and that's crunching it. That's assuming perfect conditions the entire trip.
Damn.
Yeah, and he's saying, yeah, we'll get it done in a weekend. I'm like, all right, bro. I like your optimism, but it ain't happening.
Yeah. No.
So, but yeah, there's plenty of stories. I mean, you know, I don't want to give out any names, but there's been a couple reasons why people have left the company. Either they don't like the people they're working with, they're not getting paid enough, or they found better opportunities somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which is funny because there's one dude, I was there the day he left, actually. He was talking about he got a company that it was like pool decor for really rich houses, right? He would do lighting for the pools on the outside, like you got the lights up on there.
Yeah.
Outside, he'd put like strip lights for like effect and stuff like that. So like you flip a switch, everything turns red, or you flip a switch, everything turns green. But he would do lights like that. And he was saying, yeah, the company I work for, they'll pay for my flight because the company is situated, I think, in somewhere in Florida, but they got jobs up in it's either New Jersey or New York. I don't remember which one, but they'll send workers up to New York and New Jersey, and they'll have them work up there, and then have them come back down. So he was like, yeah, they'll pay for my flight tickets, they'll pay for my food, my lodging, my insurance, my car, etc., etc. I'm like, man, that sounds like the perfect deal. And it was. And I was there the day he quit. He was real happy. And I was like, all right, good luck to you. I wish the best for you. Couple months go by. I find out the week that he left, the same company that I worked for, he was calling them saying, you guys hiring again? I was like, dang, bro, you were talking up a big game when you left.
Yeah.
But now he's calling back saying, and now I'm finding out he's calling back even more now because he's like, yeah, I quit that company and I'm looking to get hired by the same company, and yeah, I'm expecting to be a foreman and have a $23 paycheck per hour. And I'm like, bro, some of the foremen don't even get paid $23 per hour. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but in the trade world, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Considering that people start out at like $10, $11 per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you know, it's crazy because everybody wants to start their own company. Land of opportunity, right? You're in America. You can do whatever you want. But there's so much more that goes into starting your own company than people realize. You gotta have your business license. You gotta have a company truck. You gotta have employees that will stick with you and know what they're doing, which is not easy to find. You gotta have somebody that will pull permits for your jobs. You gotta have jobs in the first place. You know, I mean, these are just a couple things that go in. There's a lot more, but you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know what it is in like the film industry. I'm assuming you have to have somebody to, you know, like, hey, we got opportunity over here to film. We got actors that need jobs. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something like that in if you want to start your own filming company. I mean, obviously you're in editing more. Yeah.
But like even then, you gotta do like. Yeah, think about your taxes and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Setting up like a business bank account and all this shit.
Right.
You know, but it sounds super simple. It's like
it's like I'm just easy, right? I'll just start a company.
Because people are probably just like, if I just have something to sell and people buy, boom, company right then and there. It's like no, there's a lot more to it than just doing that.
You got to get a location where you can sell from. You got to find a good target audience. You got to have this and that. So you know, it's not as easy as it sounds. Even though in the trade world, it is pretty easy to start a company because I know I just said it's hard to start a company, but it is easier to start a company than say like you wanted to go to like start selling computers or something. Like there's so much competition for computers. You got to have a good model. You got to have something that no other computer has. When it comes to the trade world, everybody's going to need an electrician.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got to have something that nobody else has. Like, do you need electrical work done? Okay, I'm the company to do it for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's not much when it comes to competition. It's just a matter of how you're charging people and the work that you put out. So, for example, there's a guy that I go to class with. He has his own company car. And he's like, yeah, I don't get out of the house unless I get paid $250 at least for the day. And I'm like, all right, you know, that sounds good. And then I'm in a different class. I talk to a different guy, and he's like, yeah, you know, I got my own company car, but I got a crew that works with me, and we don't get we will rough in houses, and we don't get paid anything less than $3,000 per week. I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. But he also doesn't have, you know, a medical plan for his company, the one that roughs in houses. I'm like, okay, fine. But the one that does $250 a day, he's like, oh yeah, I do my own dental plan. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to pick and choose what you take and what you can't get from the company that you start.
Right.
Like if you have a big company, what are you offering your employees? Like for example, the company Tri-City does a lot of projects around. They just finished one on I-4. I don't know if you saw the big banner. Tri-City does this project. Mm-hmm. But there's a guy that works for them, and I was asking him about the company. Like, you get a sign-on bonus, you get a dental plan, medical insurance, and easily move up in the company. I'm like, all right, cool. That sounds like a great opportunity. Then I talked to one of the foremen in my company. He's like, don't work for Tri-City. Don't do that. And I'm like, why? What's the big deal? And he's like, if you work for Tri-City, you're literally just a number in the company. They will never, like, whatever you get hired on for, that's what you're sticking with until the day you die. There's no raises. Like, yeah, they let you get signed on for, like, a bonus, and then you start out at, like, $19 per hour. That's pretty good. But you're stuck at $19 per hour until you're a foreman or a supervisor.
Oh,
and
really?
that doesn't happen until you get your license or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it sounds good at first, which is what a lot of these people that are quitting my company, they're going for. They're like, yeah, I got better opportunity over here. They said they're hiring me on for hire. I'm like, all right, what'd they talk about raises, though? And they're like, they don't really talk about raises. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, that's what you got to be looking at when you go to a different company. Because a lot of these companies will be like, yeah, we'll hire you on for $17, $18, $19. But either once the project's over will fire you, or you're stuck at that your pay rate for the rest of the time you're with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you got a lot of people jumping from company to company saying, well, they hired me at this high, so you guys got to hire me at a higher rate. And that's the only reason that they increase their paycheck, is because they jump from company to company to company saying stuff like this.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, at the same time, there's enough companies in Florida, trade companies, where you can do that and get fine paycheck. Because you know how many electrical companies there are in Orlando alone?
No clue.
Exactly. Like there's plenty. You see different company trucks driving around, like Control Electric or Frank Gay. They do plumbing and electric. And
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they came to my school one time. There was a job fair, and they're like, yeah, we do plumbing, but we also do electric. The only problem with Frank Gay is you also got to be a salesman. So you got to do the service that's provided, and then you also have to sell a product that Frank Gay is advertising. If you don't sell that product, you don't get paid.
Do you do you got to be gay to work there?
No. As a matter of fact, I did ask. You don't actually have to be gay to work at Frank Gay.
They just only employ gay people.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. No, but at the end of the day, I was like, because Frank Gay was talking a big game. They were like, yeah, we'll hire you on, and you'll get raises every so often. But I was like, so if you don't sell the product, though, you don't get paid. And they're like, well, you don't get paid as much as you would if you sold the product. I'm like, all right, so I'm not that good of a salesman. I'm obviously not going to sell as much as I could. I'm more of a hands-on type person. You tell me to do something, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
But that's why I didn't get hired. Because this is earlier in the company when I was thinking, I'm like, I need to get to a different job.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not like that now because the company I worked for, they gave me 2 raises, and they know that I come to work and I do what I need to do, and I'm on good terms with the company. So there's no reason for me to hop out right now.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people aren't on good terms, or they need higher pay now, which is why a lot of people jumped out. And I completely understand, you're just in a different part of your life where you need more money. But
yeah, also, how often is every so often? When
in
they're
reference
like,
to what?
They're
What do you mean?
like, oh, you'll get
Yeah,
raises every
okay,
so often.
yeah, you know how some companies, they'll be like, every 6 months we'll give you a raise.
Okay.
So that's what they're talking about. Some companies will be like, yeah, after a year, we'll do an evaluation and we'll look at your employee records or whatever and see how well you're doing. So some companies it's every 6 months, other companies it's a year. I know one company was like every 3 months, we'll look at your employee and we might give you a raise. There's a certain program in Florida called the FEET program. It's an education course you can take as an electrician. And they'll actually company with the company that you're doing, and they'll make sure, like, if you complete a certain amount of courses, the company is mandatory to give you a raise. So it's like every month you'll get like a 25-cent raise, which doesn't sound like a month.
Yeah.
But like after 4 months, that's $1 raise.
Yeah.
And then after another 4 months, that's another $1 raise. And then like after like a year or something, it's like, all right, you just completed a year and you've gotten good grades and stayed with the company for this long. That's like $3. And so by the end of it, you'll have like, say you start out like $11 per hour. By the end of it, you might be working $20, $22, $23 per hour. And by the end of the FEED program, you can take your journeyman's license. By that time, if you have your journeyman's license as an electrician, it's mandatory in the state of Florida that you get paid a certain amount of money, which I believe starts out at $23 per hour as a journeyman's license. That's if you don't have your own company by that point, or if you don't have other employees working for you, or whatever situation is in the company you're working for. But yeah, so the only problem is I didn't realize the FEET program existed until after I was an electrician, which is crazy because that's what I'm hearing about. Everybody that was an electrician, they're like, yeah, we didn't know about the FEET program until after we finished our education. You hear about all these other programs that like we'll start you off at a, what's it called? You hear ads about it on YouTube and stuff, like the college course that it only takes a year to complete, or like to become an auto mechanic or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like we'll start you off and you'll finish your education in less than a year and a half or whatever. So I ended up going to one of those schools for an electrician, and the entire program I'm taking is 18 months. The only issue is they set you back so much as a student that it eventually takes longer than 18 months. So, for example, you got to come to school 4 days a week. That doesn't sound hard.
Yeah.
The only problem is everybody that takes the night classes, which is what I'm taking, works. So you got to work an 8-hour day and then come to class for 4 hours a day. That's 4 days out of the week.
Damn.
That doesn't sound bad, but think about that stretched over 18 months.
That does sound bad.
That
actually.
does sound bad. And so, and then there's the setback that if you don't pass the class, you got to retake it. That means you got to repay for it. And you got to, if you fail it 3 times, you get kicked out of the entire program. So that's automatically you don't get your education right there. And you got to stay in the field even longer to take your journeyman's license, because the way I understand it, you can either get signed off by somebody that already has their journeyman's license and you can take your journeyman's course then, or you can do 4 years in the field with 2 years of education or complete your education, or you can just do 6 years in the field and then forget about education and just do 6 years in the field, which counts. You can take your journeyman's license test at the end of those 6 years or 4 years, or you could just get signed on. So if you get kicked out of the program at school, that means you have to stay in the you can either go to a different school and get your education that way, or that means you just stay in the field for 6 years and you can take your test after that.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's situation is different. So, I'm not ragging on people that don't stay in education or people that do 6 years or just get signed on. Everybody has a different path, whatever. There's a dude I work with. He's actually as old as I am. He's already a foreman because he started. There's high schools, trade high schools you can go to. So instead of going to high school and getting your GED, you go to high school and get your certificate of trade employment or whatever it is. Because there's high schools you can go to where you can take nursing classes and you can get registered as an RA or like a pre-RA or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can get HVAC license, so air conditioning and all that stuff, electrical license, and this is all coming out of high school. So you get your electrical education finished as a high schooler. And there's somebody I work with, he went to one of these trade high schools. So he didn't go to normal high school, he went to a trade high school, and he finished his education as an electrician beforehand, and now he doesn't have to worry about that. He just has to worry about getting enough time in the field and taking his license test. And he's like 30, 35, so he has enough time in the field already. He's just worrying about getting the person to take the test.
Yeah.
And then he'll have his journeyman license, and I don't know if he'll stick with the company after that, but we'll see. But like I said, there's just so much that goes into you starting your own business.
Yeah.
And the first step for most people is getting your journeyman's license. And so that is just a matter of staying in the company or staying in the field for a certain amount of time and getting your education, and then you can take the test. So, it's interesting. A big part of my journey as an electrician is getting to grips with the fact that a 4-year degree is not necessarily the way to go when it comes to getting a career. Because you can get a good career without getting a 4-year degree. And everybody's told as they get out of high school, like, you got to go to college. You got to get a degree. That's what you have to do to compete in the world. And for most jobs, I'll say for most jobs, for almost all jobs, that is the case. You do have to get a degree to compete in those situations, and you do have to get that degree, you do have to go to college. So yeah, that is fair, but there's also 75% of the work here in America where to get a job in that field, you don't have to have a degree, or you don't have to go to college. You just have to have your high school diploma and a good work ethic, and you'll get the job. So, do you have to have a degree to compete in the world? Yes, I totally agree. Do you have to get a degree to get a job when you're older? No, you don't.
Yeah.
But, I'm not ragging on getting a degree. That's what I did that's what I wanted to do before I became an electrician. I was at community college for 2 years, and I was working on getting my degree. So I was focused on, this is what I need to do. This is what everybody's told me I need to do. I gotta get it done. I didn't know what I was gonna do after I got the degree, though. That was a big issue, and I think that's what a lot of people do when they go into college. They're like, I have to get a degree I don't know what I'm gonna do after I get the degree though. So I'm just gonna have this degree, and then what? Go back home, work for your dad or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then I heard about the trades. My sister actually told me about it, and she's like, that might be a path you might want to look into. And I did, and I found out the education course is a lot shorter, and the money at the long run a lot higher than most of the other career paths that I was looking at. So I was like, that's what I want to do. So I got into trade school. I started working as an electrician, and that's what took me to the path that I am today. I'm working as an electrician. I'm about a year and a half into my career. So I got about 2.5 more years before I can take my journeyman's test. I graduate, the college I'm going to, I graduate in 2 more months. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have finished my education. And as an electrician, you don't need to take any more education until you get your master's license, because master's license is like continuous education. You have to go and take the classes. At that point, they'll actually ask you to come onto the board of electricians and update the code, which is what all electricians go by in the state. It depends on if it's the state or the country. There's country code and then there's state code.
Yeah.
So like, how like in up north you have freezing temperatures. So obviously you have to have different material based upon those temperatures. Down here we got a lot of rain. We got a lot of hurricanes. So you have to have weatherproof stuff for outside. So you'll have code dictating what material you use for the outdoor stuff or indoor stuff based upon the weather conditions and the surrounding stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Once you get your master's license, they'll actually ask you to come on to the board of electricians dictating the code, and you'll actually get to sit in on meetings and be like, well, this is the code that we have right now. Do we need to update these sections? Do we need to update this, these phrases or this material that's used? And to be on those meetings, you actually have to keep up with your education and keep up with the field work, because you have to know, okay, this is what actually happens in the field. So this is the material we have to use, et cetera, et cetera. So, but until then, you actually don't have to do any classes for as an electrician until you start getting your master's electrician license.
Yeah.
So that was a big pull factor for me, because I didn't want to have to go to school for so long after I finished my AA, because I was like, because once I was still in community college, I was like, all right, once I get my degree, I'm done. I don't want to have to go back to school anymore, because honestly, I'm sick of school. I don't want to have to do this anymore. I just want to get a job and then get money. Get paid. I don't want to have to worry about it. Yeah. Start doing what I need to do. So once my second year into community college, I realized, I still don't know what I want to do. I'm still taking gen ed classes, just classes that I personally don't think I'm going to use in whatever field I'm going to use. And like, I could tell, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I could tell I'm not going to use these classes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, this is a waste of my time and my money, because I was paying for my own classes. And so I'm thinking, there's got to be another reason or another way for me to get where I need to go without, going to college. But the only problem is I didn't know any other options, because I was thinking, since everybody's told me I got to go to college, that's the only option I have as a working employee. I got to go to college to get my money. Yeah. But, I don't know how many people know this. It's not the only option. You got a lot of other options in your plate. Trades is just one of the options you got, but there's plenty more things you can do besides going to college to get the money that you want. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. I'm just saying if you want other options on the table, there's other options on the table, which I think a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, it's also like a lot of people our age who feel like they have to start a company, because that's sort of like what you're told. It's like, you got to grow up, you got to start your own company.
Right.
So you can get like
you got to sell
stuff.
Money. You got to have employees working under you, and then you'll be successful.
Yeah,
so that's not how it works.
Like, you talk to anyone our age, and you're like, hey, what do you want to do in the future? And it's like, oh, I want to do this, that, and the other, and I want to start my own company and do that. And it's like, okay,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
We can't have 100,000 new companies.
Exactly, yeah, and that's what everybody wants to do. And it's funny because I find out that the idea of a business or a company is very loose. I was talking to one guy. He's going to college right now, and he said, yeah, I'm running 3 businesses right now. And I'm like, you're running 3 businesses right now? How you running 3 businesses and you still going to college? I actually asked him about what those 3 businesses were. He's like, yeah, I got someone doing my homework for me. That's one business. And then I I got someone doing my chores at home. That's another business. And then
Wow.
I got someone working with my dad, and he pays me. That's a third business. I'm like, all right. Out of the three things you just said, only the last one might be considered a business.
Yeah.
Having someone do your chores for you, that's not a business, bro. That's just you paying someone because you're lazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like that. But the problem is people are so desperate to start their own company or start their own business that they'll redefine what they're doing so that they'll be like, yeah, I'm running my like content creators or like streamers or like I mean what else is there? There's plenty of other things that don't qualify as literal jobs or like like I mean I can't I don't want to rag on that because I know that they do make good money.
Yeah.
YouTubers make good money, streamers make good money, and that is a legitimate job. But I'm saying that can't be considered a business. You don't have employees working underneath you. It's literally you working every day by yourself, making videos, editing these videos, sending them out, and you're hoping that people will like it, gives it a thumbs up, and then I mean the only money you're coming in is having people sponsor you basically.
Yeah, ad revenue.
Yeah, ad revenue. Exactly. And that's dependent on how many videos you make, whether the videos get liked, how many people watch the videos, et cetera, et cetera. That's entirely dependent on if people actually watch your content. You can be a great content creator or you can be a great YouTuber, a great streamer, and nobody watch your stuff. That means you have no business.
Yeah.
You can be good at what you do, but if you don't have employees or customers per se, then it's going to flop on its face. You're not going to have anything, to bring back money in.
I mean, the only thing that could probably, in that situation, that be considered as business would be like merchandise. But even
Exactly.
they source that out to like a third company.
Exactly. And that company probably gets more money than they do on the kickback.
Yeah, they're like, hey, here's my design. Just offer T-shirts and sweatshirts. And then people, they go to that company, buy the whatever. And then you get a partial
just a little bit
kickback,
of the a little bit of the money coming back in, but a lot of people really just want to, because that's what they're told coming out of high school. And think about our graduation. Like half of the nearing our graduation, half the time we spent was firing up your resume, firing up your applications for college. They were literal hours spent on essays written. You could get into college. You can get into these places that everybody thinks you need to go to. And I'm not saying you don't. Don't get that mixed up. I'm not saying you don't need to go to college. I'm just saying if you think about it and if you really look at other options, there are other options on the table.
Yeah, pick what option works best for you.
Yeah. And I know that there's a big disconnect between a 4-year and a 2-year. I used to think that was the biggest disconnect for me. I was like, I want to do 4 years of college instead of going to 4 years and then going to, another 2 years or whatever to get my BA or MA or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking that could be the biggest disconnect between me and a normal college student, a 4-year degree. And here I am, I'm getting an 18-month degree and I'm working on the field already. Yeah. That's the biggest disconnect for me now. Because I'm like, I don't even consider myself going to college right now because it's a trade school. It says college in the title, but I don't think of it as college.
Yeah, it's not a traditional
Exactly.
college.
It's not a traditional college in any sense of the term. So, like, for example, we offer like 4 programs. You could be an electrician, you could be a registered nurse, you could be an HVAC technician, or you could be like I think the 4th is like business administration or something. Like that's the 4 options we offer as a college.
Right.
And then you go into normal college and you're bombarded with all these different options of, what you could do with your degree. Because I remember in high school they gave you a chart of everything you could do with a business degree, right? You have the title business degree, and then it goes through A to Z of all the jobs listed a business degree. And that overwhelmed me as a high school student because I was like, I don't know what the heck I want to do. I don't even know what half of these jobs are.
Yeah.
And then I'm finding out in the company in the real world that like half the jobs are the same thing. You got like a accountant, and then you got somebody that does taxes for a certain company. That's the same thing. So, as a high school student going into college, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do or what it is that I'm going to end up doing with the degree that I got. So, that's why I started looking at other options, and that's why I'm an electrician today, because that's what works for me. I like working with my hands. I like doing what I do. I like working with my hands. I like seeing the product of my work, because at the end of a project, you can look back on the project and you say, I literally built this from the ground up. I was working on this project. And to get your master's license, you literally have to have 3 companies or 3 project sites that you can be confirmed that you worked on as an electrician, so that they know what you're doing. So that's what I like to see as an electrician. I like looking back and saying, I worked on this. I put in good work. You can actually see what you did. Just like when you make a good video, like you look back on it, you're like, yeah, I put a lot of work into that. I'm proud of the product. I like what I put out. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, man, my favorite video was the Halloween special.
Right.
Put a lot of work into that thing, and yeah, I still love it.
You like the video.
Yeah.
You put a lot of work into it, and you like what you put out.
Yeah,
So,
I'd go back every once in a while and I'd just watch it. I'm like,
right? Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that was good.
Yeah.
But anyways, how are we doing on time?
I actually have no idea. I've just been.
All right, we're coming up on 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. What time is it? 4:40. I mean, we got to meet up with David at.
That's true.
At
we do.
So, I don't know.
We can cut this short.
Yeah, maybe we should wrap it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, that was a great talk. You were popping off, man.
I was gonna say I didn't know what you expected me to talk about, but I kind of figured if you went into the whole college debate, you're gonna get a lot from me, because that was a big part of me getting a job, because I've had 3 jobs, and I know you want to wrap it up, so I'll make this quick.
Yeah.
I've had 3 jobs. One is electrician, one is a warehouse employee, and then one is a lifeguard. And I can definitely tell the difference between a good employee, a good company, and a bad employee and a bad company. So, and that entirely depends on what you want out of the company and what you want. Same as college. If you have a good college, you might be a bad student. That's because you don't know what you want out of the college. And if you go into a bad college, you're a good student. You still might get something good out of it, because you're a good student and a good, you know what you want out of the college.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'll cut it there. I just want to say thank you for inviting me on to Lion on Main. The first guest of many.
First guest. You get to wear that title with pride.
I do. And if anybody wants to come back and learn about different options on the table, now you know at least a little bit about what's out there. Yeah. And I think that wraps things up.
Yeah.
Here.
A little more serious.
Yeah,
It was more like a Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as opposed to your normal podcasts.
Just sit and make stupid ass jokes.
Hey man, well if you come on, if you invite me on again, I'll know what to be prepared for. So
I know it's fine. It was good. It was good. Nice having you on. So
thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Whatever you guys listen to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review. All that really helps me out a lot. Make sure to share this with everyone.
Leave a comment.
Yeah. Leave fat comments, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But follow me on social media at RealJLions and at Lion on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And do you want to plug your social media?
Oh no, I don't really post like that. So once I start my own business, get someone to do my chores for me, I'll let you know where the plug is. Yeah. But until then, just
Sure you don't want me to plug your social media in like the description or anything?
Oh yeah, you can put a link if you want.
Okay. What do you want, like your Instagram or
yeah,
something?
Just put my Instagram.
All right.
You guys can follow me there.
Yeah, so if you guys want to follow, social medias will be linked in the description wherever you guys are watching this. So I guess that wraps it up.
Yeah, till then, peace.
Thanks for coming on. Love you. I don't know. Do I?
Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see if you like that episode. Then we'll love you.
They liked it.
Okay, I hope so.
We're wrapping up.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to press it now.